All right, we are recording. Welcome to tonight's Power Hour. It is Monday, the 26th. We've got a week left until the end of the month. We're on day 85 through the year. We got 280 days left. Hope everybody is getting after it like crazy. I know there's a lot of awesome momentum going on in the organization. For everybody's benefit, if you're new to Power Hour, what you're here for is for training. This is it's for you guys. It's for any questions that you might have. It's for the people that have just recently joined the business. It's for people that have already been launched and have not yet made it to where they want to make it to yet in the business. It's a spot to ask questions, get clarification on what we're doing. And I want these sessions to be interactive. I want you guys to be asking the questions that you've got. Also, one of the things that I would like to request is if you can, go ahead and turn your video on. What that's great for is, for one, for the recording, for everybody to be able to see. And then for two, I really want everybody to see that they're in this for not just them, but they're in it for everybody else that's here. Because when you guys participate in this, it helps all the other people that are on as well. They can see that, hey, there's another human being in this fight like I am. I'm not the only one. It's real weird if there's a whole bunch of just blank boxes and it looks like you're talking to the wall. So definitely appreciate everybody turning that on as they come in. And what we do is I like opening this up for our people to be able to ask questions. So if you have any questions that you've been thinking about for the last couple of days since Mr. Spencer Wynn took care of business on Saturday, and you've had some ideas since then, you've got some curiosities, or how do I do this, or I've been running into this problem, this is the forum for that. So we'll open it up for questions first. And you can ask those. You can just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask that, or you can post it in the chat session if you have microphone issues or anything like that. So we'll open it up for questions first. Any questions? I see Miss Maggie on there. Welcome aboard. She's all the way up in Washington State, just joining the business. Welcome aboard. See, we got some folks all the way from Costa Rica. See, we have some folks in Houston, Texas. Very good. We got some folks in Amarillo, Texas. I love it. We have some folks in Arkansas. Mr. Mike Mercer. All right. Any questions to kick it off? If not, I've got a couple things I'm going to chat about tonight. And then if those kick off any questions and you get the nerve to ask me later, you can just interrupt me down the road as well. Okay, so what I want to do is, I did this a little bit last week, and I want to do this again, but I want to do it a little differently because what's happening a lot right now, not a lot, it's happening some. It always happens all the time, but has anybody gone through the whole process where, you got your why, you've got your list. As you're going through your list, you pique somebody, you've built rapport, or you automatically know what it is because you've known them for so long. And then you're building that rapport with them and just re-verifying that that's still an issue for them. And finally you come out and just ask them, hey, you want to fix that? And they say, yes, I've got to get something else going. I need to make some extra money or whatever. And then you say, hey, great, let me get you on the phone with my people. They're going to be able to answer all your questions, and it'll be an awesome introduction. Let me get you on with them. They get on with one of the proof people. We get done. We inoculate them. They're open-minded to making money. They get in. They watch one of the awesome presentations, or they see one of the videos. And then we follow up with them, and they say, hey, yeah, this looks good. I just don't have the money to get started right now. Has that ever happened to anybody on the call? Okay, cool. Here's what I want you to see. I'm going to have this also from a recording, and I'm going to cut this down later, but I want to show you how to destroy the argument, and I want to do a little different. I talked about it before, but I want to do it again, and I want to show you something I did today that worked out extremely well. So I'm going to share my screen here first. And this is how you go about knocking out the argument that somebody says, I don't have the money to get started. So what I do is I say, hey, no problem. Is that's your big objection, right? That's what's holding you back. And they say, yeah, I need money. I say, okay, and I don't have the money to get started. Okay, I got it. If we were able if you had the money, if you had the $599, and I start with the $599, I put that one right in there. That's my building spot, and then I'm going to work my way up to the $1299 with them. I don't even mention the $399. To me, it just doesn't even count as a position. So that's how I operate with it. And I say, if you had the $599 to get started, you would do that right now. Yes, if I had $599, I'm all in. There's no other holdbacks, ready to go. Spouse is on board if you got one. No problems on this. You're all in on this thing. You're ready to figure out. Yes, perfect. Well, that's good news. And they're like, how is that good news? I said, well, I thought we had a problem on you getting started in this thing. That's a no-brainer. We can get that squared away right away. They're like, what are you talking about, man? I was like, well, are you down for me showing you? Give me about 5-10 minutes to explain this thing to you so you really understand how we get over that problem? Yeah, I'm all ears. What do you got? I was like, great. Do you have a piece of paper? They say, yeah. Great. Well, you got a pen? Yeah, got that too. I said, great. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to write out basically a balance sheet. I want you to show on the first column, I want you to write income. On the second column, I want you to write down asset. On the third column, I want you to write down expense. And on the fourth column, I want you to write down liability. And then in the fifth column, I want you to write down something called cash flow. Okay. And sometimes I'll hold that cash flow off till later, or however you want to go about it. And I say, all right, go ahead and draw 4 lines. That'll give you 5 columns. And then in the first one, I want to have you do this. Let's say that, and I asked them, I said, do they have a Best Buy where you live? And they say, yeah. And if y'all don't know about Best Buy, it's a big box store type thing. They got TVs and electronics and all kinds of stuff. So they're great. Have you ever been in a Best Buy? You see that awesome TV. You see what the cost of those things are. They're crazy, but you can get a big TV and it's not terribly bad. You can go out and you can get yourself a TV for, let's say, about $600. And they say, okay, that sounds good. I said, now, if you didn't have $600 and you wanted to get one of those TVs, then you could do something called that Best Buy credit card, right? And they say, yeah, we could do that. I say, great. So here's what I want you to do. If you were to put that $600 on a credit card, you would now have a liability, basically a loan of $600. And I said, okay. And I said, and if you were to do that, and I said, wait, better yet, let me back off. And then I said, do you have one of these cell phones? Yeah. What kind of cell phone do you have? And this is a really interesting thing to ask them on what type of cell phone they have, because if they got the latest cell phone, then this thing's in the bag. The person I talked to today actually had an S5. So that's about 4 versions behind. So that tells me a little something about their way of thinking, is that, they're not getting the newest one. I said, well, if you drop that phone, that S5 in the toilet, then what would you do? Well, I'd have to get a new phone. Well, it's waterproof. I said, let's assume it cracked on the way in and then it got all messed up. What would you? I'd have to get a new phone. And you're telling me you ain't got, the money to be able to get that. What would it be to go get one of those new phones? And I just asked them to see if they know. Most of the time they know, somewhere between $800, $900. I said, okay, let's go ahead and put in here that you've got one of those new phones and it's $800 to go get that. And when you do that, you can either pay the money up front or you can do an account with them, right? And they said, yeah, you'd have to pay on that forever. I said, yeah, absolutely. That's kind of how they do it. And they get you into that, but you would do it, right? Yeah, because I need a phone. Okay, perfect. So what's the cost on that? And they said, I don't know, somewhere probably around, $30 or so. So let's round up. Let's say it's $40 a month for one of those phones. Anybody have one of the new phones? Anybody paying on it on a monthly basis? A lot of people do that, okay? Because they don't want to be out that money right away. And so what they do is they use somebody else's money. They use Best Buy's money to float that, because somebody's got to pay Samsung. So Best Buy is going to pay them. But what they're going to do is they're going to float that and they're going to get interest. So $800, you're going to pay $40 a month. And you're probably going to do that for probably 2 years. So you're going to pay a pretty good amount of interest on that phone to be able to cover that. So then I say, now you understand the idea behind liability and expense. A liability is something that you owe money on and you got to pay it off. It's a loan. It's like a student loan, a mortgage, car note, those types of things. And the amount you have to pay each month is what the expense is. I said, are you making any money with that phone? Is it an asset? And they're like, well, no, it's my phone. Okay, cool, no problem. All right, next example. I said, now let's go out and let's say that you start a business. Let's say you start a business for $600, okay? And let's assume in that $600 business, I asked them at that point, I said, how many people do you know on Facebook? How many people do you know on Instagram? How many people are programmed into this little phone right here? This lady said, I got about 100 people I know. I said, I bet you got more than that. She said, probably. I said, okay, let's just go with 100 people. Out of 100 people, Do you know 2 people? 2. 98 say no, but 2 say yes. Do you know 2 people that would say yes to this? Yeah, without a doubt. I said, perfect. I said, that's going to get you to the Garnet position. And I said, you remember seeing that income disclosure document? Yes. How much does a Garnet make on that? On average, $74. I said, awesome. I said, write that in the income column, $74. I said, okay, now that same $600 to get this thing going, you don't have that, so you go put it on a credit card. Instead of putting it on your Best Buy credit card, instead of going to JP Morgan and getting a mortgage, you're going to go to something called MasterCard, Visa, or American Express. You're going to use other people's money to be able to do this. When you do that, you're going to have a balance now of $600. You have a loan that you have taken out and you said, I need $600. I don't have the $600, but I'll pay you on a monthly basis to be able to recuperate that. Let's say that it was also $40. Now, it's going to be cheaper than that, but you're looking at an $800 liability with Best Buy turns into $40. That $600 liability, let's just say it was also $40 for apples to apples comparison. Okay? Now, the difference on here is you have an asset. This thing is something that you can sell. If you go out and you build yourself an asset is something that makes you money. Okay? If you have a business and it's making you money, it's an asset. If you have a business that's not making you money, it's a liability. But you get started in this thing, you know 2 people that are going to come on board, you're going to be making $74 a month. You've got an asset. What is that asset worth? It's an interesting thing to be able to figure out what an asset's worth. You have people come out and they actually do an inspection on the house, and then they give you an idea on what they think that house is worth. They give you what's called an appraisal on an asset. Some people will appraise a car to say what that car is worth. They'll appraise a house to say what it's worth. They'll appraise a business to say what it's worth. If a business is making you residual income, then it is worth something to people. If you go out on the stock market and you take a look at what they're paying and what a business is worth, or if somebody comes in to buy a business, they'll usually pay a multiplier of how much that business is making. Okay? So how much is it making? If you look at the cash flow is your income minus your expenses. That's the cash flow. In this case, you have a $40 in the hole. It's not making you money, it's costing you money. In this business, what's the expense? The expense is $40. How much are you making? 74. So how much are you making? You're making $34 a month. Positive cash flow. You are making money. Okay. When people see $34, they don't get excited about it. But when your business is making, it's positive in the cash flow, that is a beautiful thing. In this case, you're making $34. People will pay a multiple of that. Let's say you get crazy in this business and you get one more person and you make it to Jade. The average Jade in this business makes $298 a month. All right. So if you subtract 40 off of that, you're looking at $258 a month in positive cash flow. It costs you $40 to be able to make 298, or it costs you $40 to be able to make 74. Depending on how much this business is making, and usually the multiplier is somewhere between 6, 8, 10 times, you've got a business that's worth anywhere between, let's say, $340 and $2,500. You have a range in here of what this thing is worth. You have an income-bringing asset. Let's give another example. Let's say that you go out and you decide that you want to buy a house. The house was $150,000. That's what you bought it for. Somebody appraised it and said that house is worth $150,000. So then what you need to do is you got to have an expense of a down payment. You got to be able to put that in. We'll keep that off to the side. And then what's going to happen is your liability, what you're getting the loan for, is $120,000. Meaning you had to have $30,000 as a down payment to be able to start this whole thing. And when that happens, you got to pay a mortgage on that. And after taxes and insurance, you're looking at paying about $1,200 a month. But what can you rent that house out for? You can rent it out for $1,500 a month. So what's your cash flow on this is $300 a month. What's very, very interesting on this is if you look at this, $258 or $300. This one over here, you had to have $30,000 down payment. You had to have that liquid. In this business, in the middle row, you didn't have a down payment. You didn't have to give money to American Express and say, hey, let me put a down payment on here of about $30, and then I'll have a balance for the remainder of it. No, you just put the whole amount on the credit card. She said, Casey, this makes sense to me, but the problem is I don't have any room on my credit card. I just had some car problems. And when I had those car problems, I had to go out and put some of that on my credit card, and I don't have enough room on that credit card plus what I have in the bank to be able to cover that. I said, no problem. I said, but you do see the concept here. She says, yeah, absolutely. I said, well, now here's the deal. Most people, when they take a look at this, they think it takes money to make money in this world. It really doesn't. It takes courage to make money in this world. That's probably going to be the hardest and most profound statement I'm going to make tonight. It takes courage to make money in this world. It takes courage for people to go in. When I told her that, she goes, well, I can't put this on my credit card. I said, well, why don't you call them up and see if they'll give you an extension, if they will give you increase your threshold? What if they will give you a higher spending limit that you can have on there? What if you have, $2,000 limit on your card now, and see if they'll go up to $2,700? Or maybe you have a $5,000 limit, see if they'll go up to $6,000 on it. Here's the deal. The companies are in business to loan you more money. They're hoping you're going to go out and buy one of these things over here that don't have any income, that are not an asset, because they want you just keep on paying on this. They don't want you to have that extra money to be able to pay off this liability. They want you to keep that liability so you keep paying them interest the whole time. This first one right here, this is bad debt. Here's what happens. A lot of people will start doing bad debt decisions. It's too easy to get credit. And I give you the state of our economy as an example. It's very easy to go out there and put stuff on your credit card that does not have anything over here in this area. People do it all the time. Then they finally get to a point in their head where they go, you know what? I got to get myself out of this hole. I'm never doing this again. I'm not going into debt anymore. Those people are just as mentally messed up in the money game as the ones that were going out spending like drunken sailors. And I'll tell you why. Because you have gotten yourself so beat up about debt that you haven't understood that there are two types of debt. Here's the important line between them right here. If it doesn't have anything on the left-hand side, on the income and asset side, it's bad debt. There's also good debt. If you can go into debt to be able to do that, I didn't have $150,000 sitting around to get my house. I had to save up for 2 years to make $30,000 so that I could have a down payment. And the bank says, hey, if you bring 30, we'll give you the other 120 so that you can go buy that house. I said, heck yeah, let's do that. Now, I sat there and freaked out a little bit about it. I won't lie to you. I had to get my head wrapped around of all the negativity that was in my head and all my friends. And I remember one specifically to this day, and it always causes me to take action because I see what he's doing with his life and I see what I'm doing with my life, and that encourages the crap out of me. He was what if you can't rent it out? And that got in my head, and I was thinking about, what if I couldn't rent it out? Worst case scenario, I got to pay $1,200 for that thing just to sit there empty. Then I got in there and I said, has there ever been anything on the planet that I haven't been able to figure out? I can figure it out. Guess what? I'm not the first guy going to the moon here trying to do this. Everybody has rental properties. If they can do it, I can do it. That was my mindset. And then finally I said, okay, is this guy going where I want to go? No, he's not. Is this guy stuck in a dead-end job where he is begging for a day off to go on vacation? Yes, he is. Is this a guy that I'm going to get financial advice from? No. And then I put my big boy pants on and I called the next day and I said, let's do this thing. And I got myself a rental property. And guess what? It all worked out beautifully. So much so I went out and did it again. All right? So the key point here is, if you want to make money in the world, it's not about looking at debt and saying all debt is bad. That is not a true statement. There is good debt and bad debt. We are looking at good debt. We are looking at over here where you spend $40 to make at least, here's the other thing. Could you not make anything? Absolutely. Just like your cell phone isn't making you any money. And I guarantee you, every single person you talk to, if you go up and you steal their phone and run away, within 24 to 48 hours, they're going to have a new phone. They will figure a way out how to do that. And it ain't making them no money. Why? Because there's an emotional attachment to this thing. Then all of a sudden we get in our head and we're like, oh, I can't go into debt. Debt's bad. No, it's not. If it's not making you any money, it's bad. So have this chat with people. Draw this out for them. Make sure they see this. This is very real life numbers that we're showing here. $40 expense to make 74 easily, 298 relatively easily, 659 with a little bit of work, $1,500 in a new car for a little bit more work on top of that, so on and so forth. How do you do that? You learn some skills. So it's a matter of reframing the conversation with them. All this business is, when you're talking to people, is constantly reframing it so that you can show them a different way. You are fighting years of programming into their heads. Years of people saying, debt's bad, you don't want debt. Anybody that makes a whole lot of money on this planet, I promise you, uses debt to their advantage. Now, if you got so much money and you've blown through all that, hey, cool. I'm completely cool having a debt-free company when it's a debt-free company. But to get your company going, no problem taking a loan, no problem having a line of credit, no problem using other people's money. You do anything with wealth, and that will be one of the first things they get you to understand is use other people's money. The cost of money is very cheap. The cost of $600 for the amount of interest you're going to pay on that is very cheap when it is something that you can make a whole lot more money with. The other great thing on this is there is not an upper bound to that number. $74 a month is absolute peanuts to what this thing will do for you if you'll just get after it. If you'll simply go help a couple people with the product, I think about 5 customers on the product and you have blown through those numbers already. If you don't think you can help 5 people with this product, then you probably don't need to do this business, and you just need to be a customer because it's going to help you. What's your health worth to you? So anyway, I wanted to dig into this. I wanted to make sure everybody sees from a numbers perspective, and you hammer them on that and say, look, if this is something that you want, if you want to get out of the hole that you're in, what you're doing is you're saying, well, I don't want to dig the hole any deeper here. I don't want to dig this hole any deeper. You're not looking at the full equation. I don't want to dig this hole any deeper. Well, every time you dig it 40 deep, you're putting 74 pieces of dirt back in, and it's going to pile up 34 on the top side. Okay. And then you should go over and you should dig another hole for $40 so that you can put 74 in it and have 34 left over there. And you should have piles of $34 running around in the backyard. That's how you have multiple streams of income. That's how you make a lot of money in the world. And she's looking, well, what do I need to do on this to be able to get there? I have to go get a new job. No, you don't. Because when you do a new job, you're going to be miserable. Then you're going to start making the excuse of time. And then what you do is you get in this circular thing that's called the rat race, the hamster wheel. And I can guarantee 99% of the people on this thing that'll see this thing have experienced that hamster wheel before. That's why you wanted to get started at some level. You're sick of doing that. Have this chat with your people, relate to them and say, I know how you feel. I was in the same way. This is how you get out of the hole. You've got to have good debt. Or here's what's going to happen. You're going to be stuck in what you're doing. You're going to keep going to that job. You say it's going to take you 3 months to be able to get another $600 to get started. But I promise you drop this thing in the toilet, you'd somehow magically go find the 600. So what you got to do is attach this to the emotion of what they want. So you got to start relating to them and say, what's in this thing? You keep going to this job thing constantly. How many times have you been saying that you're going to save up and do that? Does that ever happen? No, it doesn't. You're in a game that you can't win. And then if that doesn't work with them, you're good. You're done with them. Let them sit there. Let them be a customer, drip on them in 3 months, see how bad their job still sucks, and see if their ego is in the way that's keeping them from saying, you know what, good point you made there, but I don't like being wrong and you being right, so I am not going to call you and say, you were right, I need to get started in this thing and join you. because that ego is screwing with them, because people would rather be right than hit their dreams. That's another thing you'll run into. Okay. So that right there, I hope you guys use, because it's gold. Now, if you don't get that right away, get with your upline leader, have them watch this. They will get that. They will be able to explain that to the people. All right. Questions off of that? Did that make sense to anybody? Thumbs up if it, okay, cool. Sweet. All right. Any questions? Not just on that, on anything. I know we got some more people joined. All right. The type of computer that I have a Microsoft Surface Pro 4. And I like it. I got 2 of them. Call Microsoft, tell them I need some money for residual income. I made a recommendation. Okay, next thing that I want to talk about is speed. Tonight's going to be about mindset, by the way, if y'all didn't catch on to that. I need to share my screen again. Let me scroll up here. Next thing I want to do is mess around with some numbers. Saw some pretty cool stuff that Kinley and Andres did today. I'm not going to go into all of that, but I do want to share some things that I've been working on as well. And I want to, their chat inspired me to write this out. So what I want to do is I want to talk about cycles. I want to talk about sprints, okay? And what we do in this business is it is calendar driven, okay? Right now, you're going to see so much activity in the last week of the month. It's ridiculous. So here's March. First week, everybody's kind of, figuring out what's going on, getting excited about everything, going to ILA. Does it feel like we just went to ILA? Doesn't that seem like so long ago? It does for me. All right, and so everybody's kind of taking it easy that week. Let's see what's going to happen at ILA, and then everybody comes back from ILA. They're fired up. Great week, lots of activity going on, and then this last week is usually when things just are going pandemonium. What I want everybody to do is I want them to rearrange things in their head. Again, a different viewpoint. I want to put a different pair of glasses on you so that you can look at things a little different. Okay, so this week we're finishing things up. We're here on Monday. We got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We've got 5 days left in this month. 5 full days plus about 2.5, 3 hours left tonight. So in those 5 days, and this really takes about 6 for what I want to be able to show, but if you had 6-day sprints, okay, and a 6-day sprint, if you'll look at a regular month, you can have 5 of these happen per month. Okay, so on day 1, if you started a sprint, 1st of April, it's Easter, it's April Fool's Day, you get started and you go 5 full days to be able to make one of these cycles. What are we going to do in the cycle? Let's assume that on the last day of the month, you have somebody that just enrolled, 11:50 at night. Yay, you got them in. That was the last one you needed, and you actually hit Sapphire. Congratulations. You're on your way to the car. That's awesome. And then what do you want to do moving forward? The cycle is going to start right after somebody enrolls. You've got a brand new business partner in there, and what are you going to do? You need to have the launch scheduled for them absolutely as quick as humanly possible, and I'll show you why we want to be able to make that happen quick, okay? After the launch, you want to make sure, and in the launch, you're getting them into activity right away, okay? If you don't get activity at the launch, then it's not a launch, it was a training, okay? So you got to get them activity, and most importantly, you got to get them results. They got to have a result. It's got to be a positive result so that they have positive feedback off of the activity that they did. So you get that done, and let's say you get that done in your first 24 to 48 hours, okay? So if they came in on Saturday night, and then let's say Sunday, that it's Easter, and on Monday we'll sit down and we'll do the launch, and now it's Monday night, okay? So it's 48 hours basically since they got started, and now you do the launch. On the launch, what are we going to do? We're going to have their why. We're going to have a list of 20. And then what we're going to do on each one of them is we're going to build rapport. We're going to pique their interest. We're going to pass the ball. When the pass happens, because of the edification, there's going to be an inoculation. Now, this right here is where we draw the line, because the why in the list, that's what happens during the launch. And then these steps are going to happen. And this is going to be by the new guy, okay? The new business partner, the new guy. So the inoculation is going to happen. That's done by somebody else. The presentation that they're going to want to see some information, that's going to be done by somebody else. That could be the Team Fusion family video. That could be the DFY system. That could be a PBR where everybody gets together. It could be on a Zoom. A lot of different ways that the presentation is going to happen. Again, that's not happening by the new guy. After the presentation, there's going to be potentially some follow-up. And then after that, there's going to be an enrollment. Okay, so there are steps that need to happen. You can go through, and I literally did this a week ago. I talked about it the last session, went through, sat down with somebody on a Sunday, did the launch. They had already had rapport built. They asked a question, said, hey, you still interested in making money? Because they knew that they were interested in making money. They came back and said, yes, what do you got? I've got a guy you need to talk to. Let me put him on the phone with you. I talked to him. All this happened within 45 minutes. Steps 1 through 4 happened in 45 minutes. Presentation happened that night because I sent them some info. Next morning, followed up with them. Same day they enrolled. So from Sunday to Monday, we had somebody new come in. And that was immediately following the launch. When they enrolled on a Friday night. Saturday, nothing going on. Sunday was when we were able to align schedules because this wasn't in their plans until, boom, they enrolled. It's like, I got a new business. What do I do? In 48 hours, we were sitting down with them. So we went from Friday all the way through Saturday, and then Sunday we started doing these things. That person's in the business, okay? And that happened by Monday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's 4 days. We had 2 more days in this cycle to be able to find 2 more people, okay? So what I want to focus on is that being the use case, that being an actual case study of what happened. There wasn't anything huge set up. We haven't even got the PBR set up to get a whole bunch of people. We went instantly into action, and we instantly were able to have somebody in the business 24 hours from the point after they got launched. So what I want you all to do is I want you to focus on being able to run through a sprint that's 6 days. That took 4. We had 2 more days to be able to go out and get a couple more people. What would that look like in your business if you went out and were able to get 3 people literally in 6 days? And then what would happen if when you got those 3 people in, you repeated the cycle with the next sprint? So if you had that, you would have 5 of those sprints that were going to happen. Sprint 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what I want to do is I want to paint a vision to you guys on what this can turn into in your organization. I want you guys to get a feel for what this can absolutely cause to happen. And then it's going to come down to your belief level on whether you're going to do this or not. But you've got to see the path up the mountain to see what's possible before you're going to start your journey. And a lot of y'all saw that there was this nebulous thing out there that you wanted to do this. You wanted to make some extra money. And so you decided to take it on faith and on trust and the proof that you saw, and you joined. But after that, what I got to make sure happens in your head is that you get off of that starting block and you actually start taking more action. That's why the launch is so important. That's why these power hours are so important, to encourage you to go out and take that action. Because if you sit here and you come to power hour all the time and you don't actually apply that, then you got yourself a really good education that you haven't actually used at a job. Anybody got a degree that they don't use? There's a lot of people that run into that. What I want you to do is I don't want you to get this degree and not use it. I want you to do it immediately, because there's nothing that you need to know that you don't already know about the steps that you are responsible for. They're right here. This is it. This is all you do. If you'll go through that quickly, and if you won't sit there and cherish this list of 20 like it is the last 20 cookies on the planet. And as soon as you eat one, you can't ever make any more cookies again, or whatever analogy we got to use for you guys to see. Once you go through those 20, guess what? There's another 20 right after them. Last I checked, there's like 6 or 7 billion people on the planet. And there are skills we'll teach you on how to get there. Just go with us and understand you're not going to run out of people. Go through these people quickly. Find out if there's something that they want. Find out what it is. That's the rapport. That's the biggest thing you got to do in this business. The peak is asking them a question after you figure out what it is that they want. That's just verifying. It's like if you play the game Clue and you know that Professor Plum did it with the candlestick in the billiard room, all you're going to do is ask the question of, hey, let me see that and verify. Was it Professor Plum? You know it was. You're just verifying. That's what a peak is. You know they want more health. You know they want more wealth by the questions that you were asking and doing the different things. That's what you do here in rapport. And once that happens, you're going to peak, say, hey, did I hear you right? You want to make more money? Did I hear you right? You're sick and tired of dealing with blood sugar issues and you want to square that away? Yes. What do you got? I got a guy. Let me put you on so that they can inoculate you from all the nonsense you've got in your brain right now. Because if I send you the presentation, you're going to think it's something else, and you're going to think you know what we have to do if you decided to enroll. You think you know what you're going to. They don't have a clue. If they haven't seen how we do this, they don't understand our system. They don't know. If you send them the information, they're going to look at half of it and they're going to abandon it. Because why? Because they're human beings and it's emotion. It's not logic. People don't move based on logic. They move based on emotion. When they feel something, when they remember a feeling, that is more powerful than any logic there is. Watch Fear Factor or whatever that stupid show was. The things aren't going to kill them, but they are freaking smooth out. Everybody's got those. That will override logic. Our brains shut down. So what you got to do is if you oh, well, that's not them. You don't know what's in their head. They're not sharing all of that with you. You've got to make sure that you get them out of their own head for that. You've got to get their mind open to receive the information. You've got to pre-qualify them. Otherwise, you're just hoping that you're going to throw spaghetti against the wall and something's going to stick. And sometimes it will. And a lot of people build their business that way. But they're miserable because they got to keep rebuilding because that won't duplicate. Promise you. Promise you, promise you, promise you, promise you. And I have 2 magazine covers over here to prove it to you. Please hear me on that. You got to do this way. So when you do these steps, you do these quick. If you do these quick, we can run 5 sprints in a month, 5 6-day sprints. And you can get 3 people in that time. If the people that come in at the middle package, that's 500 points that they're going to come in at. Okay. They're also going to probably get a couple customers. You want them to run the power play. 3 new business partners, 500 apiece, 1,500 QV. 3 customers, 80 apiece, 240 QV. If you run through a list of 20, I can just about guarantee you, if you follow the steps appropriately and you don't throw up all over them when you're doing the rapport building and say, oh, I need to tell you about this new business I just got started and all these other things. Don't do that. But if you do these steps, these 3 right here, and you do those based on what we're showing you here in Power Hours, you will be able to go through and knock that out of the 20 that you've got. If not, then throw another 20 up on the list and reach through those. It should not take you very long to be able to do this. Have those conversations. Do it quickly. Get through those quickly. Some of you are taking forever to be able to do that. Some of you are deciding that, oh, we'll launch you, next weekend. my head hurts when that happens. You just completely destroyed your ability of the compound effect of this thing taking off. People say, well, I ain't got time to do all this. The amount of time it takes to build rapport, peak interest, and pass to somebody, literally, you can do it in less than a minute. If you're not clear on how to do that, there are training sessions on Power Hour recorded since December 7th that go over that and over that and over that and over that and over that. Look through those and get your skill up on just that part. Focus on just that part. When you do that, you're going to be able to have 3 people in this first sprint in your business. Each of those 3 people can go do the same thing in the next sprint. It took you a week to be able to go get those 3. Each one of these 3 can do the same thing in the next 6 days, just like it took you 6 days. That lady was able to do it literally from the time she enrolled to the time she had her first business partner, 4 days, and that person was launched right after. So that was a 4-day sprint. I'm asking you to do it in 6. She literally sent like 4 lines in a text message. People are saying, well, I don't have that. Yes, you do. Stop talking yourself out of these things. Give yourself permission to let this math work for you. Give yourself permission for all of these things to kick off. Well, Casey, what if it doesn't work this way? You're going to be light years ahead of where you were before we started this discussion. But don't hedge. Don't hedge. That's what happens when you look at the month. In March, what people do is about right here at the halfway point, they look and they see how much volume they have. And let's say they have, 1,500 in volume in their organization right there. And they've been a Jade and they say, I'm going to probably be able to make it to Jade. I'll get that done in the next 2 weeks. But if I take 1,500 and I multiply it times 2, you're looking at about 3,000 points in my organization. I got to get to 5,000 to finally make Pearl. It's just not going to be in the cards this month. We'll see what happens next month. And then you slow down and you don't do anything and you don't plant any seeds. And the ones that you did plant, you let them die out there in the field. You're not watering them. What you do is you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and you make a new week happen. And you do it at 6 days at a time in these sprints. Stop worrying about the end of the month calendar and focus on these 6-day sprints when somebody new comes in, and keep that process going. And you'll have these sprints happening at different times, but from the day they start to the next on that cycle, you could have 3 people in your business. Those 3 people go do the same thing. You've got 9. Each of those 3 went out and got 3. These 9 people each go out and get 3. These 27 each go out and get 3. These 81 each go out and get 3. You have close to close to 350 people in your organization. Times that number. You have a lot of people in your organization. You're close or over Blue Diamond at that point. People say, how can that can't happen? You're letting logic get in there and start messing with it. It's not about the logic. The logic of this is very sound. We can't think exponentially. We can only think linearly. That's why at the beginning of the month or the middle of the month, we look at it and we take 1,500 and we multiply it by 2 because we had 2 weeks and there's 2 more weeks. And what I did that time is what I'm going to do this time. And you base it on linear progression that you're so used to, because whenever you work an hour, you get paid an hour. Bill Gates gets paid a whole lot more per hour than what he's able to actually work and do. It's because he went in here and he understood assets. And he's making a whole lot of money off of a whole lot of people. And he's just getting a little bit off of each one of them because he built a business. And guess what? That's what you're doing here too. So if you will let this happen, if you will do this, you can get 5 of these in a month if you'll start thinking in sprints. The other thing is, stop worrying so much about the end of the month and start focusing on these sprints when somebody comes in new. One new person can change everything, because one new person can get you on the path of this right here. Because you can go get one person right here at sprint 0. And that one new person that you talk to can go out. And what we're going to do with that one new person is they're going to get their first 3. You can spark your organization literally with one person and help them go get 3. They've got a brand new list. They haven't touched any of them. You're in your own head thinking, I've talked to everybody. You only need one. When you see that you can get one, and that one brand new person can go get 3. And all you got to do is what's in that little box right there. Then this will keep growing. Each one of these sprints, you're going to keep growing. 3 people in this thing, you're going to make it to Pearl. If each of them come in, you get yourself to basically Jade. You're going to get yourself basically to Pearl. You're going to get yourself well into Sapphire. You're going to get yourself way into Ruby. And you're going to get yourself way into Diamond, Blue Diamond. So what I want everybody, and then when the month ends, that messes with so many people and y'all think, oh, I just got to start over. No, you've got all these new people that just came in and you've got a brand new list for them to be able to go. It's not like you got to start this thing over and, well, let me start with 3 new people. No, maybe your month happens to just end right here. You've got 9 people on day 0, on day 1, 9 new people. Those 9 people start off, you got 27 new people at the end of the first sprint of the next month. And then you pick up from here and your calendar moves on. A lot of you will look at that and say, I didn't get it there. And then you think you got to start all over again. You do, because you wait so much time before these people get into action that they move on with their day because they haven't seen any results yet. It's so, so important to be able to get them into results right away. Okay? All right, let me pause for a second, give a chance for any questions off of what I'm saying. Did that make sense to everybody? Cool. William, you had something that you wanted to share.
Yes, I spoke to a gentleman this weekend. My dad actually spoke to him probably a couple of years ago when we first got started about the business, and when we didn't know what the heck we were doing, just puking blueberries all over everyone. And so he wasn't interested. And so I tried our method. I was like, hey man, I got this thing you need to check out. I think, it's going to be a good moneymaker, because he's always looking for the next big thing. He's a DJ here in the Austin area. And so he called me and he was like, so what is it? What's it about? What's it about? I was like, well, I don't have all the information. I just need you to get connected with one of my business partners. They're real successful. And he's like, look, man, this is network marketing. I don't want nothing to do with it. And I was like, look, Dexter, I'm just trying to show you a system on how it's done. I just want to spend as little time with you as possible so I can show you how this duplicates. And he was like, well, is that thing that your dad told me about a couple of years ago? I was like, to be honest with you, Dexter, yes, it is. But again, I'm trying to show you the system. And so he was like, and then, he was just like, well, I've been in network marketing things before, this and that. And, he was back and trying to back out real quick. And so I was just like, well, I was like, look, man. And then I started asking about his health. I was like, are you on any medications, or let's talk health wise. And I said, this is really good product. It's helping lots of people. And he was like, well, a few years ago I had prostate cancer. Of course I had my prostate removed. He said, my doctor told me that my numbers are starting to go back up again. And I was like, dude, you got to check out this product. And and I told him that my dad had positive results from his prostate cancer. He didn't have his prostate removed. He just started doing kind, changed up his diet a little bit, and his numbers started dropping.
Yep.
So,
how did it end up? Fast forward to what did he end up doing?
Well, he ended up inviting. He was like, "Hey, man, come on over. I want to see what you got."
Nice.
So,
was it as a result of the product, you think, or on the business side?
It was a result of the product, but he's interested in the health side of it and what it can do for him.
The other, yeah,
right. But he is also, he said those people that say, well, I want to try it out for a month, and if I see positive results, then I'm going to be your business partner.
Cool.
So,
is that what he said?
Yes.
Dude, great job. That's really, really good. Really good. I want to point out a couple things based on that interaction and offer some potential adjustments. And this is for you've done what needed and it worked out, and that's beautiful. And I really think you handled that extremely well. The only thing I think after hearing that, and you might have done this and just left it out on the story, was that when they start in and they say, is this network marketing? Is this a pyramid scheme? Any of those things along that. And I want everybody to write this down, because sometimes it doesn't work out where you can get them on the phone because they are so – basically what you just did is you're sitting there having lunch with somebody. They just got done with a really bad breakup. I mean, bad. Like they were living together and, came home and clothes were strewn all over the front lawn. You're having them there and you're getting ready to set them up on a blind date.
Right.
And they ain't ready yet. That's basically what was going down with this guy.
Yeah.
You were getting ready to set him up with somebody that you thought, yeah, but this one's different. This one's really, really nice. That's what was going on in their head. Yes. Okay. And that's why he's like, crawfishing. No, I gotta shampoo the cat's hair. I got a full list of stuff I gotta do this weekend. And they start making the dumbest excuses on why they didn't make it. If y'all have ever had somebody bail on you on the last minute for checking out your new business opportunity, and they come up with, they've lost aunts, uncles. There's cousins that didn't make it. The dog got ran over. Y'all know you've heard all of these things from people.
Oh, yes.
The reason that they're doing that is you haven't found their hot button. Okay. So what you do is you get them when they come out with that, is this network marketing? And it's like that. You go, what happened? You immediately get yourself on, you're sitting across from them at the booth. You come around and you sit on the same side. You put your arm around them and say, all right, tell me about this crazy lady. What'd she do? Tell me all about it. Tell me, I'm trying to set you up here. I can tell you've been hurting. What'd she do? Did she slash all 4 tires? Did she key the truck? What was it? And get them to get it all out. And then they'll get going. They'll get the tears out. They'll get the bubbling out and all that. And then when they're done, then they feel better. And then you look at them and say, now here's the deal. You ever going to get back out there again? You ever going to try dating one more time? Or are you just hanging it up forever? And if you got it all out of them, they're going to say, I'll probably give it another try. Well, what was crazy about that one? What did they do? Well, this, and this. Okay, so those are all the things that you hated about that relationship. Guess what? I met this one, had a long talk, and I can tell you the following things on how they're different. Let me at least introduce you. Let them tell you about what they do. You'll know if they're batshit crazy like the last one was. All right? That's the theory of what you're doing. And what you do is you ask them, it's like, okay, tell me about it. What happened? What was the deal with the other company? Was it you? Was it your uncle? Was it who had problems with it? They'll get it all out of their system. And then you can get them around to be able to say, this one's different. I do this on a daily basis with people when I'm doing the inoculation. Now, if you can't get them on the phone for me or the proof to do that, you got to handle that. Or you do what you did and you divert it over to the other side. I'd still get that information out of them to let it all out, get all of that pent up anger and frustration that they experienced with the previous one, get it all off their chest. Their guard comes down. They become human. They're not fighting you. They're on the same team now. And then they're all punched out. Then you can come back around and then say, let's put that on the side right now, and then still switch gears. So you did masterfully by finding out, because they're probably still interested on the money side from what they said, but you really touched the source of their issues when you got into the health side by asking some questions.
Right.
And that's when you were able to turn it around. Instead of you trying to put them on a blind date, you actually hit the thing that they were looking for, whatever that may be. In this case, it was health. So masterfully done on getting to that point where it will continue the conversation. And now you found a way around the obstacle that they were throwing up. So that's really, really good. If you guys on this chat channel will get good at being able to overcome those objections, not to get them into the business, but just to get them on with the proof. If you can just get that bridge built, that they can walk over and have a communication with the proof. Get good at that. If you get good at that, the system sorts everything else out. It's just doing it with a massive amount of numbers, massive being 20 at a time. Get the low-hanging fruit of the people that are looking for something on this thing and you have tremendous trust built with. Those are your first 20, and hit this thing faster. If you guys will give yourself permission for this to go quick, it does not have to take a long time. Most people, when they look at this, they will always say, I wish I would have went faster, sooner. I want you guys running up this mountain. This does not have to take a long time to go up this mountain. You can go from a dead standstill to diamond in 30 to 60 days. The only thing that's lacking right now is you just got to see somebody do it. And as soon as one of y'all do it, because it's going to be one of y'all on here that does it, because I promise you there's very few of these types of chats going on right now in the world. You get yourself in on this. You get this clear in your head. It works. It ain't a matter of hoping this thing works. Man, I've proven this thing out a lot. I got the sapphires and the rubies and the emeralds to show for it. Okay? It works. Now it's a matter of you guys taking it and running with it as quick as you possibly can. Get outside your comfort zone and reach out to 2 or 3 more people. And here's the other thing. Reach out to the ones that are higher up in the list from a perspective of the ones where you start going, oh, crap, man, are they going to want to do this? If you start asking that question, you reach out to that person first. That person has influence. That's why you're freaking out. They have more influence than you do. That's why you're freaking out. The easy ones, go ahead and do those just for the warm-up. But hit the big ones. Hit the big ones, because the higher up you hit those, the higher up they're going to hit, and the higher up they're going to hit. And then you get people that come on and they make one phone call or send out one email or one text message, and 30 people enroll the next day because they have so much influence. Because when those people see this thing goes. And it's had a run of that in the past, and then we had some changes that happened, and then some people got stupid. That's just all there is to it. Human nature jumped in on a couple people. This thing is primed for an absolute explosion. You guys just need to believe it and believe that it can be you that's the one that's doing that. And I promise you it's so much fun. And I also promise you that the infrastructure is in place to be able to handle it too. So grab it and go. Don't feel like you're going to overwhelm anybody on that. You might overwhelm them for a day or two, but you won't overwhelm this for the long haul. Okay? Awesome. All right. Well, we got here real fast. It's now an hour since I started talking. Hopefully you guys I was passionate about that topic. That means it went fast. All right. So what we're going to do is, one comment. Good job. Yeah, absolutely. Really good job, William. All right. Well, we're going to call it a night for the Power Hour. We will be back for Power Hour on Thursday. And then for the folks that are sticking around for the summit, we'll get that kicked off here in about a minute. So we'll give everybody time to jump off and then for everybody else to jump on. And it's my pleasure, Ms. Ho. Thank you so much. And Mr. Spencer, for you being on as well. And for all of you for being on here. Can't do it without you guys. So let me unmute the line so you can say good night. And we will see you at the
Good night.
Bye.
Maggie.
Good night, Casey.
It's so